This is how you find over $1 million in value to add to your EBITDA, especially if you're doing over $20 million in revenue. You're stuck in spreadsheets, you have very few, if any, dashboards, and you struggle to get the numbers out of your system on a daily basis. This is for you. So first of all, to find that $1 million in EBITDA, you need to identify what your EBITDA drivers are. And it's easy enough to go into AI, ChatGPT, Claude, whatever, put your industry in and your company and say, tell me what my EBITDA drivers are. And it'll give you a list of 20 odd KPIs. These could be things like labor utilization, equipment utilization, pricing. It really depends on the industry, throughput, production, depends on the industry, but you'll get a good feel for what those drivers might be with a simple prompt. From there, you need to say, okay, well, let's assess our data. So what automatic data connections can you create? What dashboards can you build? How can you get better visibility of those EBITDA numbers in your business so that people are working towards them, managing them, and understanding that that's what really drives our profit, not just looking at your profit at the end of the month in a simple P&L. We want to understand what the drivers of profit are. So you're going to assess your data and do some data exploration, assess your data, and see what data do you have against those EBITDA drivers. That'll help you prioritize against what a potential target uplift could be. So if your utilization is currently at 80%, then is it reasonable to get to say 85% based on industry benchmarks, based on the best that your company has done in the past, based on what management think is reasonable, to be able to say, okay, well, if we can take utilization from X to Y, or pricing from X to Y, or throughput from X to Y, what is reasonable and achievable? Next, you can add that dollar value. So have an estimate in terms of if you can take your utilization from say 80 to 85%, what that's worth to you in your company at the bottom line. And then you'll have probably maybe 5, 10, 20 drivers that each of those targets, take them and add them up in terms of if you were to hit all of those KPIs, what would the value be to your to your bottom line? That gives you the EBITDA value of potential analytics and dashboards initiatives. Then put together your analytics plan in terms of what dashboards, what KPIs are you prioritizing in your business? How are you going to bring them to the meetings? How are you going to keep them relevant in discussions and on track? And then that is where the rubber hit the road to be able to say, well, these things are visible now. We know what our drivers are. How are we going to manage them as a managed team over time to try and hit those numbers? And when you hit those KPIs, the value should return back to your EBITDA. You'll be a healthier business, a more profitable business, and a better managed business.